We have paid enough attention to the bad guys, Hitler, Himmler, Goering, and we don't think as much about the good people who helped.
I never talked about what I did during the war, and I still wouldn't if I hadn't read that article in the newspaper that said the Holocaust didn't happen.
There were signs all over the city which said, "Whoever helps Jews will be punished by death."
We thought, if they shoot us for keeping one, they'll shoot us for keeping two.
There were usually...
Hello, I'm Alise Chaffins, and I'm here today with Emmy-winning filmmaker Nick Davis to talk about his most recent documentary film, This Ordinary Thing, coming to video on demand on June 12th. Thank you so much for speaking with me today. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you. Thanks for having me, Alise.
Yeah, absolutely. So the film follows various non-Jews who helped save Jewish people during the Holocaust. Can you just talk a little bit about why you chose this subject?
That's one of those where I feel like this subject kind of chose me. These stories were presented to me, and it's not like I thought, oh, I want to make a Holocaust film.
Yeah.
I in fact didn't, and so initially I was sort of resistant, and then the more I learned about these stories and thought about them, I realized, wait a minute, how can you not? How can you not tell the stories of these people who acted in such a sort of pure way, put their lives at risk for people who were quote unquote different from each other, from them, and who saw and acted on the essential sameness of all human beings. As one of them says in the film, it didn't matter if they were Jewish or Catholic or Eskimos. They were persecuted people, and you had to help them. And that spirit was just like, well, I got to do it. I mean, sorry, Nick, who wants to do just fun stuff, but like this will be fun enough in itself because you can focus on the goodness. I think of these stories as these sort of pockets of goodness rising in a sea of evil. And I felt like, okay, well, that's my way in and way to tell this story.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things I really loved about this film is that a fair bit of the archival footage is in color. And I really think that sometimes when we start to think about the Holocaust, it feels like a back then and not really applicable as much to now. But seeing those things in color really helped. Can you talk about that? Finding that footage
I mean, that's great. I love that that's your response, because that was the whole point. Like I felt like when I found these stories and then the portraits that were done by Gay Block of the people who had done these testimonies in the late 80s, I was blown away just by the fact that they were in color. And I was like, oh, right. Alise is right. The Holocaust did not happen in black and white or sepia tones with cello music playing lugubriously under it. Nothing wrong with that, and that can be very moving. But these people were living their lives. It's a normal day in 1942, and it's raining, and there's a knock on the door, and it's somebody who wants you to hide their suitcase. And Lily Tomlin says, he was a friend, and to our amazement, he was a Jew. And that, to me, that phrase, to our amazement, it's like, it's so silly the way we divide each other along racial or color or party lines. Like, we're all just human beings. We're here on this speck of dust for a very short period of time. Let's just act out of the goodness of our heart that is in, I think, all human hearts, at least when we're born. So it just felt like, let's do that, and let's get at the currentness of this story, because to them it was current. It was happening now. So in fact, I asked the archive researchers who we had, who were brilliant. I was like, find the color stuff, find the stuff that feels as alive and as crackling as possible, or even if it's boring, it may be. I sometimes think that this footage that has never before been seen is because it's boring. It's just people riding motorcycles or cleaning up a dining room table, but it's in color and it's from the 30s, and it's like, oh yeah, this is what life is like. It's like what it was like to them. And, they didn't have iPhones. They weren't filming everything. So this footage, footage of people swimming in a lake, in color, and it's just like, oh, this is great. Like you're feeling it you're feeling it like it was happening yesterday. And that really was the goal.
Yeah, well, it definitely comes across that way to me anyway. Yeah. Just a small shift. This is just such an impressive group of performers who, who read these statements. Can you just talk about assembling all of them for this project? Because, oh my goodness, it is a very A-list cast.
Yeah, no, it was wonderful and crazy. I mean, just briefly, I had been working on the film for about 2 years, and I had been working with the voices of just my friends. I would just say, hey, record some voices, put them on an iPhone, email them to me, I'll put them in the film. I'm just trying to figure out what this film is. And as I started to see, oh, this film, I think we have something here. My wife and creative partner, Jane Mendelsohn, who founded the company Series of Dreams with me, she kept saying, when are you going to get real actors? Like, Melissa's fine and, Eric is pretty good, but like get real actors. And so I did, but sort of, I put the ask out through agencies and stuff. And for the longest time, nothing happened. And then we were getting close and we needed to sort of lock it. And then one day out of the blue, I get a phone message. Dame Helen Mirren wants to be in your film. And it was like mind blowing and also opened the floodgates because once she has said yes, then that gives permission for all these other actors to say, oh, well, if she's doing it, F. Murray Abraham, Carrie Coon, and Bill Camp, Bill Irwin, Eric Bogosian, Stephen Fry, whatever, Jeremy Irons. The list is so mind blowing. And none of them did it because, they didn't do it for the money and they didn't do it because, hey, this is a big, blockbuster Pixar movie and you'll be playing the dog. They did it. I think they did it because they responded to the stories in part because this is my theory. Actors are trained in the art of empathy. And these people empathized with the people who they were helping. And so actors sort of responded to the material without a big sell. It was just like, oh yeah, these are great stories, and so long as this is a legitimate movie and Helen Mirren's in it, then Rufus Sewell can say, oh yeah, I'll do it, and it was amazing. And working with them was just an absolute career highlight and a total thrill, and frankly very easy because they're all so good.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you talk a little bit about just the assembling of everything? Like working, I assume this was worked with an editor or, yeah, and just the process of that, because it's just so many small things to put together. Yeah, can you just talk about the timeline of
Yeah, I mean, I
making
think
it a cohesive film?
right. I think again, there was this period where I was just doing it myself, and I got to a point where I realized, okay, this is real.
Yeah.
That was when Jane was saying, you get real actors, and I said, let me get a great editor, which I did. Josh Freed, who's a brilliant editor who I've worked with on a number of projects, and he just again, like in the same way that Helen Mirren it took what our friends had done, and Josh took what I had done. They sort of laid it out, and he just made it cohere into a single piece. And every cut is, there's a reason for it, and there's a reason you're seeing, the piano move or whatever it is. Like these little tiny, it's all tiny, and the word I kept using was quotidian. It's just like we just want the little things because that's what these people are doing is telling the stories of like, well, here's how we hid them and here's how we fed them and here's how we had to take out, the chamber pot at night and all these like, and here's how we did the socks, darned the socks or did the ironing. And that was what the film wanted to be, and where the title came from.
Yeah. Yeah. So just as we're kind of wrapping up here, I always like to ask people, what did you learn from working on this project that you would like to take into a future project that you'd work on?
Well, I mean, this could sound fairly kumbaya, but none of us know what's going on with anyone else. And I think to be able to see that we're all just human beings struggling along, doing our best, trying to be the best person we can be, like that spirit is really what drove these people, and I think I would like to, in my, not just my work, but in my life, I would like to be better at that, and I continue to have experiences where, there's a guy in the neighborhood. Okay, forgive me. There's a guy in the neighborhood I've seen for 15 years. And I always see him and think, oh, this guy's so scary looking. He's mean. And then through a crazy coincidence, I met him uptown, at a funeral for someone. I went up to him. I was like, dude, I see you. And he was like, oh, yeah, I'm here because, and we got to talking and I realized, like, you don't know anything about the people you pass on the street. You make these quick judgments and assumptions about them. You don't know, and that, I think, is very much what I want people to take from this film. We're all just human beings. We're not here on this planet for very long. Let's try and have a little understanding and empathy for each other.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for a beautiful film and for speaking with me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Alise. And the film is, did you give the dates? The film is available June 12th.
June 12th, yep.
June 12th on all your favorite, Amazon Prime, iTunes, all those places.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Have a great day.